is 5 a.m., July 18th, 2021. My third attempt at making this video because the first two attempts didn't come out the way I want them to. Had some good matches on Pirate 101, which gave me some positive energy to make this video. Now, let me start off by saying, before I even get to that quote, this video is in no way intended to be a religious message, a Christian message, or anything that has to do with spreading beliefs or the thought of religion. Let me say that up front and foremost, right? Part of taking the path of high resistance is you have to accept that life isn't a movie. Movies are black and white. You have the protagonist who has goals, and you have the antagonist that tries to prevent those goals from being reached. Right? Movies are black and white. You have hero, villain, sometimes an anti-hero. Real life ain't no fucking movie. In real life, you have black, white, yellow, orange, polka dotted, spaded, pink. Except in the empty void of space, which is colorless, and that's not talking about stars or asteroids or anything in space that has colors, but actual space itself is colorless, right? You know, and part of understanding this is that, you have things like religion that, has two purposes. One of those purposes is to take the truth and put a bunch of stuff on top of it so that regular people can never see the truth for what's going on. Now, you do not need to use religion to find the truth. In fact, you shouldn't. Because unless you are very adept at reading code, it's only going to confuse you. Nonetheless, I decided to pick a quote slash verse that's going to go perfectly with what I want to talk about in this video that I think is easy to decode even if this isn't what you do, right? So I just had to get that disclaimer out there before new people come to my channel and think I'm on some religious shit when I'm not. I just want to clarify that. But I understand that the truth is always in the middle, right? People see it as black and white, Democrat, Republican, communist, capitalist, atheist, theist, fucking, it's not black and white. Truth is always in the middle. Because in order to get to 2 plus 2 equals 4, you had to get to 1 plus 1 equals 2 in the first place, right? You had to use math to get to the final solution. Instead of just outright discarding math altogether and trying to explain it through other ways, which you could. But getting to the verse, just had to clarify that. The narrow and wide gates. Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate, and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few will find it. I wanted to pick this specific quote, despite it being from the Bible, for several reasons. Because it's one of the few things in religious texts that directly tells you, without it being coded, to take the path of high. Well, actually, it doesn't even tell you that. I mean, it does tell you that because it directly says enter through the narrow gates. So yeah, I stand corrected. It is telling you to take the path of high resistance. It's flat out telling you to do that. But here's the key thing that most people miss when they read that quote, right? Let me actually pull it back up just so I'm not misquoting it myself. Wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow is the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. Now that specific, the last half of that quote is the most important. Because most people will enter the gates of destruction without even realizing it, right? What that means is that most people will take the path of least resistance without even realizing why that's bad, right? One of my boys, Mason, He said he was at a party trying to fit in and he didn't know what to do, and he's glad he saw one of my previous videos. Now, I've known Mason for a while, and and he's probably going to see this video. And in life, you have to do what you want to do. This is the first step. You have to be fully honest with yourself. You have to be honest with what you want before you make any type of decisions. Because if you walk around life blind, not even be honest about what it is you want from life, then you will accidentally take the gates of destruction. You will take the path of least resistance. What does this mean? You walk up to a group of people and you want to make friends, right? But you don't even know what type of people you like to hang around. You don't even know what type of friends you like to make. So you walk up to that group of people and they will do things that you have a negative feeling for, and your instinct will tell you to avoid these people because they're not compatible with you, but because you don't even know what you want, you will try to fit in with people you're incompatible with, and you will take the path of least resistance, and you will suffer the consequence of having friends around you that are close to you that don't mean anything for you, right? That's just one example. And that's basically related to the first part of that quote. Most people will take the path of least resistance without even realizing it. And in order to avoid that path, first you need to be honest with yourself. Now, if you're honest with yourself and you say, I want to take the path of least resistance because it's easier, then that's cool. I'm not judging you. As long as you're fully aware of the consequences of your free will decision making. And most people aren't. You know, there's going to be people that are going to watch this video and say, well, I'm going to take the path of least resistance and I don't see a problem with it. And that's cool. This video ain't for you. You can stop watching it right now and go and watch American Idol or something. This video ain't for you. This video is for the people that are going to listen to the second part of that quote. Let me pull it up again because I don't want to misquote. But small is the gate and narrow is the road that leads to life, and only a few will find it, right? The last part of that quote, only a few will find it. You see, you will stumble on the path of least resistance by accident, and you will follow that path for a while without even realizing it. Now, if you were lucky enough to be born into a certain bloodline, to be born into a certain family that teaches you the path of high resistance from day one, you are a lucky motherfucker and you represent 0.001% of the human population. You don't even need to watch this video. But if you were like the rest of us, the people who the path of high resistance was never intended for, if you're like the rest of us, you will be born around sheep that will, through one way or another, encourage you to take the path of least resistance. The narrow gates are hidden. The path of high resistance is hidden. You need to find that path in order to follow it. Now, most people will never find this path, even though this path seems easy. Think about the first step I just said to finding this path. The first step, you have to be honest with yourself. Now, my channel, for those people that are new to my channel, you'll notice that most of my content until recently has been about video games, right? I'm the top player in one of the games that I play, and while I'm not a top player in the other game that I used to play, I was a known figure in the community because I made people laugh, right? Now, getting to that level of success for those games involved taking the path of high resistance, right? I had a very unique persona that carried me through the first game. And through the second game, the game that I'm a top player in, I had to take the path of high resistance and ignore the advice of all the sheep around me in order to look at the game mechanics myself and say, this is what works, this is what doesn't work. Why am I bringing this up? In order to become a better player at any type of endeavor, I mean, screw games. I'm just using games because this is what my channel was mostly known for. To become a better player, you have to be honest with yourself and say that you have no idea how to play this game. Only when you admit you're a bad player, that's when you can become better. That's what I did. I admitted I knew fuck all about the game, and I sought the knowledge of people that did. I took their knowledge, applied it until I became better than them myself. Outside of video games, your job, your career, your friends, your family, your significant other or significant others, if you do open relationships, you know, or if you're just single and mingling, right? With all of these things, you have to be honest about what it is you want from a job or from a girlfriend or from your friends or from society. And you have to be honest about your ability to obtain those things. If you don't know how to obtain good friends, you first have to admit that you don't know how to obtain good friends. Only once you admit this flaw, that's when the universe opens its doors to you, that narrow gates or the path of high resistance. You have to admit to your flaws first so that you know what you need to work on. That's how you advance forward. Now, if you want to walk through life blind and never acknowledge your faults or flaws, then you will take the path of least resistance, and there's certain doors that will never be open to you. That good old T. I have to harp on this point before I get to my next one because this is a crucial point that cannot be avoided. If you try to take the path of high resistance, but you were never honest with yourself, then this path is not going to work out for you. So that's the first thing. You need to be honest with yourself before you can be honest with others. What happens if you were not honest with yourself? So, the path of least resistance is filled with liars and people that will say stuff to make you feel better. This is why certain organizations call these people the sheep, because they don't actually want the rewards of the high path. They want the rewards of the illusion that they're taking the high path, right? Now, if you look at my gaming videos, I'm very critical of bad players and delusional players. I don't pull any punches. And I don't do that to be a bully or to be a dick or because I get off on hurting people. That's not what this is about. I have to be honest with these people because it does me no good to lie to them and say that they're better than they actually are. However, in life, you will notice this is exactly what most people will do to you. If you walk up to 100 people and you have some shit on your face, everybody's going to be laughing. But the majority of the time, nobody's going to tell you you have shit on your face. They're all just going to laugh. They're going to take the path of least resistance and point to you and laugh. Should you do encounter somebody that walks up to you and say, excuse me, sir, you got some shit on your face, that's why everybody's laughing. You better latch on to that person and keep them as a friend forever, because you've already encountered a rare human being. Now, finding the narrow gates. So first, one has to understand when they read this, as well as when they read anything else that's in religion, sometimes things are not literal, but sometimes things are literal. This is why I do not recommend anybody use religious texts in order to find the truth, in order to find the narrow gates and take the path of high resistance, is because there's much easier ways to do this. Because you need an extreme knowledge on the subject before you can see what's literal and what isn't. There are no actual gates to paradise. You create your own paradise. With your free will, you decide your fate. With your free will, you decide exactly what happens to you. With your free will, you control your own destiny. Somebody asked in my previous video, Was Daylight trolling? Was he pretending to be enlightened? And it's a combination of both. You guys gotta understand the game, right? Certain things cannot be directly said on the platform unless you throw in some filler. Otherwise, your shit gets taken down. That's the world we live in, right? You know, but this is why I try to encourage people to take this path in order for them to find enlightenment themselves. Because if you walk through life just waiting for somebody else to teach you everything you need to know, you're going to forever be deceived with the pack, so to speak. I get asked often, is it mandatory to take the path of high resistance? Is it mandatory to go against the majority? What if you have friends? One guy specifically asked, what if you have friends and family that all follow religion and all do this and all do that? And this is what I would say to this guy that asked me that question in my post. You know, it's your free will. First, you have to be honest and decide what it is you want in life. Now, if you want to be like those people, then take the path they're taking. If you want to be above those people and take the path of high resistance and reap the rewards that only a few people reap, then yes, you have to go against your family and your friends and the majority. There is no free ride in life. Every decision you take has a consequence. If you side with the masses, if you enter through the wide gates, the gates that everybody floods through without even realizing it, you know, despite knowing there's a better alternative that you can find, if you willingly take the path of least resistance, then everything that happens to you, understand you weren't entirely because you are making that conscious decision to stay on that path. Now, it's different for people that just don't even know there's an alternative, you know? But at the same time, it's not so different because we do not choose to be born blind, but we do choose to continue to not try to find a solution to our blindness. We are born in the world, unless you're part of that 0.001% that basically teaches their kids the truth from day one. If you weren't born in those bloodlines, if you're like the rest of us, you were born into darkness, but your free will is what will decide if you leave that darkness or not. The narrow gates is in the darkness, and you have to find it. And the first step to finding it is honesty. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with the others around you. It's easy to lie. It's easy to die. It's easy to be misled. But if you are the seeker of the truth, you know, you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow and you pay what you owe. That's how the song goes. Yeah, that was. I might listen to that song after this video. Death Before Dishonor by Five Finger. Five. I'm fucking it all up. But Death Before Dishonor. That's the song, right? You reap what you sow. You pay what you owe unless you bathe yourself in greed. You rob and you take. Your world is fake. There is no honor amongst the thieves. And that's true. You can side with thieves. You can side with liars. But don't be surprised when your boys rob you, so to speak, right? Because everything goes together, man. You attract what you are. If you are an honest person, you attract honest people. You attract honesty. You attract the truth. All of this goes hand in hand. And I'll put all these videos in the playlist. But if you are a liar, you attract deceptive people and you attract deception. You will be deceived. Now, I'm not telling anybody in this video to just go and tell your boss, fuck you, you know, unless your instinct's telling you to do that. If your instinct's telling you to tell your boss, fuck you, and really tell him how you feel, do that. I'm gonna make a video in the future about why you should always listen to your instinct. But not right now. Right now, I'm going to focus on the nitty gritty before this video gets too long. So, in order to find the narrow gate, so to speak, in order to take the path of high resistance, you have to be fully honest with yourself. What do you want? What are your goals? What type of people are you attracted to in terms of your friends and people that you want to make your significant other? You know, when you play video games, you have to be honest from the jump. What type of player do you want to be like? Do you want to be the best player? Do you want to be at the top? Or do you want to be one of these guys that plays for fun and has fun losing? You know, I'm not judging anybody. Me personally, I know I don't like losing. So when I play a game, I'm playing to win. World of Tanks, the path of least resistance is this thing where you have to pick and choose between performance and winning because the sheep don't understand you can do both. For example, I'm underscore politically correct on World of Tanks if anybody wants to play some games. Although don't hit me up if you're a bad player. I'm taking the path of high resistance. I only want to play with good players because there's a level of skill I want to get to myself. And I don't need to be learning bad habits from players. And that's another thing right there, man. I get asked all the time, is it mandatory to cut people out of your life? Can't you be friends with everybody? And the answer is no. Well, let me rephrase that. Let me take one more sip of tea. I'm going to deliver the coup de grace. You can be friends with everybody if you want to take the path of least resistance. Because having a bunch of phony people around you that don't mean shit to you, that won't help you when your back's against the wall, you know, being friends with a bunch of people, if you're one paycheck away from being homeless, none of them are going to help you. If you get jumped by 20 people, none of them are going to have your back. If this is what you want, then yes, you can do that. You can be friends with everybody, and none of them fuckers are going to help you when you really need it, right? You can definitely do that, you know? I experienced this the hard way when I was 9 years old. I got jumped by like 10 people, and my friends, I saw two of them standing up on top of the park, and they just watched me get jumped. They didn't do shit. And I was 9 years old, and I'm just like, okay, I see how it is, you know? I don't talk to any of those motherfuckers now. Because later on in life, as through taking the path of high resistance, I met people that got my back for real, you know? In the real world. Well, that was the real world. We were at the park, but that had my back for real. You won't need to cut people off that don't mean you any good. Otherwise, their energy is going to collide with yours, and it's going to clash, and it's just going to lead to negative results. Versus if you cut those people out of your life, you can invite people into your life that match your energy, that match what you're trying to do. Because light attracts like attracts like, and light attracts light. You know, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. If you're a deceptive person, if you're a piece of shit, then that's what you attract. But if you seek enlightenment, if you seek the truth, if you seek honesty and the rewards of the narrow path, then those are the type of people that you attract. Now, the main reason I uploaded that video with Daylight is because Daylight has mastered this. Look at his recent videos. Look who he's hanging around. Goat Gang, right? It always gives it away. He has understood later on in life that if there is a certain level you want to get to, there's certain people you gotta hang around, right? Once you're honest with yourself and you project that out into the universe, you start to attract people that are most similar to you. If you're trying to ascend in life, you meet people that will ascend with you. So how do I want to end this video? Because I know there's going to be some people that comment, well damn Chris, you've said a lot but you said nothing. And that's really the point. The purpose of my channel has always been to get people to think, so that they can use their own abilities to go further. Even when I was making videos of trying to make people better at Pirate 101, I gave them the tools to go further, but it was up to them to use those tools efficiently and ascend to the next level. And even in the Toontown community, I said some stuff that the sheep couldn't handle, and that's cool. I'm fine with that. The sheep got angry at me. They made a fucking mega thread of like 20,000 posts gossiping about another man. That's cool. They can do that. They can sit at home all day and gossip about people that are going further. They can do that. That's perfectly fine. But those of y'all that can take the path of high resistance, if you have that option, if you have found a pathway to that narrow gate, stay on it. And I'm going to warn you in advance, life will be very difficult. It is not easy to take the path of high resistance. You will make many enemies. There are going to be a lot of people that dislike you. There's a lot of people that dislike me. Not everybody can handle the truth. I lost respect for a guy that I've known for nearly 10 years earlier because a situation happened, and because he didn't want to be enemies with anybody, he took the path of least resistance. And I know I can tell this individual has sought to join certain organizations, and I lost respect for him. He took the path of least resistance. And basically, when you take the path of least resistance, there's going to be people you encounter that are taking the path of high resistance. But not everybody's like me. Not everybody's going to directly tell you what the problem is directly to you. There are going to be those that are just going to accept you into their ranks and use you as a resource, so to speak. Human capital, right? So, and he asked me, what's the problem? And I basically told him, man to man, you had the opportunity to hold everybody equally accountable because both parties were equally in the wrong. Both parties broke the same exact rules, so to speak. But you took the path of least resistance and showed favoritism because you want to be on everybody's side instead of doing what you needed to do and punishing everybody. And I told him man to man. And he didn't get it, so I'm just like, okay, cool. I see what the agenda is. Now, I'm still cool with that guy, but I lost a lot of respect for him. And that's going to happen a lot, guys. This is not an easy path to take. And I warn everybody, before I started making videos on this subject, everybody that I have encountered that came to me for knowledge on how to take this path, I give them all the same warning. This is not an easy path to take, You will meet many enemies. You will make a lot of people dislike you. The more people you meet, the more people that will hate your guts. Because as your energy gets to a certain level, you're going to naturally repel all the energy that's not similar to yours, right? However, that being said, the benefit of this is the few people that you do attract, they're going to be in it for the long term. They're going to be in it for the long haul. And later on down the line, you will be happy that this is the path you were staying on. So, that's good seeing. All this talking makes me thirsty. So, that's it, guys. It's 5:30 a.m. now. About to go make some money. And yeah, hopefully this video has got some people to think about what path they're on. And hopefully it encourages some people to take the path of high resistance. The question I was asked originally is it mandatory to take? You can do whatever the fuck you want, right? But you will always receive the consequences of your actions, even if it comes later on down the line. So if it's the path of least resistance with the sheep that you seek to take, understand fully the consequences of your actions, you know, and maybe reconsider your decision before it's too late to do so. So that being said, guys, I'll catch you in the next video because this one's going on way too long. Comment down below. Agree, disagree, leave your thoughts, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.